You don't have the time, and you come in after a 12-14-hour day, and you're tired, you're cold, you're wet. More than a decade ago, Rick Lagina embarked on the adventure of a lifetime on Oak Island. But now, it seems like that journey is finally coming to an end, not willingly, of course. After 12 seasons and an estimated $30 to $50 million spent in pursuit of answers, you would think the Lagina brothers would have hit the jackpot by now. But instead, they have hit a wall. Now, the rumor is it won't be long before the curse of Oak Island wraps up for good. So what exactly is ending Rick Lagina's career? How did it come to this point? How did it all start? It's an excuse, but it is what it is. It's very difficult. I think what we should have done, we agree, we should have hired an archivist. To understand what may have ended Rick Lagina's career, we first have to understand how it all began. What brought Rick to Oak Island, and what made him dedicate so much of his life to solving its mystery? The legend of Oak Island did not start with Rick or even in modern times. It dates back over 200 years, all the way to 1795, when a Canadian settler named Daniel McGinnis stumbled upon something curious on the island. According to the story, McGinnis was drawn to a peculiar depression in the ground, which some say hinted at something buried beneath. Rumor had it that a dying crew member of the infamous pirate Captain Kidd confessed to hiding a fortune there. Treasure hunters and history buffs alike have been hooked on this tale ever since. Some dismiss the legend as nothing more than a tall tale, a pirate's last hoax, or a story spun from thin air. But others firmly believe Oak Island is hiding unimaginable treasures, from pirate gold to religious relics. Naturally, this kind of mystery captures the imagination, and it certainly caught the attention of the Lagina brothers. Rick Lagina's fascination with Oak Island did not come out of nowhere. In fact, he can pinpoint the exact moment it began. As a young boy growing up in Kingsford, Michigan, Rick came across a 1965 Reader's Digest article that talked about the mystery of Oak Island. The article described the enigmatic money pit, the strange items discovered over the years, and the possibility of treasure buried deep below the surface. For young Rick, this was not just a cool story, it was a spark that ignited a lifelong obsession. At the time, Rick's dreams of treasure hunting were just that, dreams. He came from a hard-working, close-knit family. His father, George, and mother, and raised Rick alongside his siblings, Marty and Martina, in a modest Midwestern household. Rick eventually took a steady, unremarkable job with the U.S. Postal Service. It was not exactly a path that felt adventurous or treasure hunter-like, but the dream of Oak Island never really left him. While Rick was busy delivering mail, his younger brother Marty was building a more lucrative career. Marty became an engineer, a successful entrepreneur, and even a winery owner. By the early 2000s, Marty had the financial means to take risks, and Rick saw an opportunity. In 2006, Rick convinced Marty to invest in Oak Island. Together, they purchased a 50% stake in Oak Island Tourism Corporation, a company that owned much of the island and profited from its growing tourism. The government of Nova Scotia has something called the Treasure Trove Act, which used to cover the whole province but now only covers Oak Island. For Rick, this was the moment everything changed. His dream of searching for treasure on Oak Island was finally within reach. Marty was not as convinced. He was the pragmatic one, the skeptic. While Rick was captivated by the legend, Marty saw the venture as a risky business decision. But it did not take long for Rick to win him over. When they obtained a treasure hunting permit, they began unearthing intriguing artifacts and objects that suggested there might be more to the legend than just stories. Marty's doubts began to fade, and together, the brothers launched a treasure hunt that would capture the world's attention. Now, the question is, what exactly is it about Oak Island that draws people in? Why did Rick and Marty, along with countless others, dedicate so much to solving its mystery? Well, Oak Island's allure is rooted in its possibilities. Legends suggest it could be hiding treasures from the Knights Templar, including the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant. Other theories propose that it holds Marie Antoinette's missing jewels or even Shakespeare's original manuscripts. While skeptics question the plausibility of these claims, believers argue that the island's secrets are too intricate and too enduring to be mere coincidence. Adding to the mystique is the so-called curse of Oak Island. According to legend, 7 people must die before the treasure can be found. Whether you believe in curses or not, it is worth noting that 6 treasure hunters have already lost their lives in the search. This has lent a chilling credibility to the story. For Rick Lagina, Oak Island was not just a potential treasure trove, it was a puzzle to be solved, a story waiting to be uncovered. And for someone who had spent decades dreaming of adventure, it was the perfect place to leave his mark. By 2014, Rick and Marty's efforts had caught the attention of the History Channel, leading to the creation of The Curse of Oak Island. The show documented their search, turning their private treasure hunt into a public spectacle. Audiences were hooked, tuning in week after week to see what new discoveries the Lagina brothers would uncover. Because of the show, the interest, and people wanting to participate, the brothers were very grateful. The series included more than just treasure hunting. It showed the journey, the camaraderie, and the relentless pursuit of answers. While Rick often played the role of the passionate believer, Marty balanced things out with his level-headed skepticism. The dynamic between the two made for compelling television, and the show quickly became a hit. Over the years, The Curse of Oak Island uncovered plenty of intriguing finds. They found a centuries-old metal cross, fragments of human bone with Middle Eastern origins, and even pieces of gold. These discoveries kept fans invested, fueling endless speculation about what might still be buried beneath the island. While fans have been captivated by The Curse of Oak Island and the Lagina brothers' relentless search for buried treasure, Rick Lagina's personal life remains a bit of an enigma, much like the treasure itself. There are not many things known about Rick's life off-camera. Rick Lagina has mastered the art of keeping his personal life private. While he has spent over a decade in the public spotlight thanks to his treasure hunting exploits, he has shared next to nothing about his relationships, hobbies, or daily life. In an era where many public figures open up their lives on social media or in interviews, Rick has chosen to keep things quiet. One of the most common questions fans ask is Rick married? The answer, as far as anyone knows, is no. It is widely believed that Rick is unmarried and has no children. But he has never confirmed or denied this himself. Whether this is a deliberate effort to keep the focus on the treasure hunt or simply a reflection of his private nature, it adds more intrigue to his persona. Some might call his silence refreshing, especially in a world where oversharing has become the norm. Others find it frustrating, wondering why someone with such a fascinating story would not let fans in on more of his life. Either way, one thing we are sure of is that Rick values his privacy above all else, and that's something to respect. On the island, there is more than meets the eye. The legend of the island curse, that 7 people must die before the treasure is revealed, is something Rick takes seriously, even if he does not talk about it much. 6 lives have already been lost over the years, and while Rick approaches the search with caution and respect, the weight of that history is not lost on him. To Rick, the island's mysteries go beyond what's buried underground. There is an energy, an aura, that he has felt firsthand, as he talked about in his 2015 interview with My North. Whether it is superstition, paranormal activity, or simply the power of a good story, Rick believes there's more to Oak Island than meets the eye. But Marty is not like him. While Marty is often seen as the more skeptical, business-minded brother, Rick is the dreamer, the believer. This dynamic has been one of the driving forces behind their success. Marty's financial contributions and practical approach have allowed Rick to focus on the treasure hunt without worrying about logistics or funding. But it is Rick's passion and unwavering belief that has kept the search alive through setbacks and challenges. Despite their differences, the brothers share a deep respect for each other's perspectives. Marty might be more grounded in facts and figures, but he trusts Rick's instincts when it comes to the island. Similarly, Rick values Marty's ability to bring structure and resources to their efforts. Together, they have created a balance that has allowed them to pursue a mission that might have seemed impossible otherwise. But this does not mean that it is an endless mission. Rick believes in the unknown, but that does not mean he is naive or overly superstitious. In fact, he is incredibly pragmatic about the treasure hunt itself. He knows that finding the treasure is not guaranteed, and he is prepared for the possibility that they may never uncover it. That said, Rick's passion lies in the journey, not just the outcome. For him, every artifact and every clue is a piece of the island's history waiting to be pieced together. Even if the treasure remains hidden, Rick sees value in what they have learned and discovered along the way. Interestingly, Rick has also said that he knows when it will be time to walk away. He is not the type to keep digging aimlessly just for the sake of it. If the search reaches a point where no real progress is being made, Rick is ready to step back. He has said that he will not keep going for his ego or out of stubbornness. He respects the island, the history, and the efforts of those who came before him. If and when the day comes to pass the torch to future treasure hunters, Rick will do so with the knowledge that he gave it everything he had. So, is it going to happen? Is this show coming to an end? How is he ending his own career? Look, we want to dig up the entire swamp because we don't have a hard target. That's the problem, that's the core issue. We don't have a hard target. Rick's passion for Oak Island is undeniable. From the moment he read about the island in Reader's Digest as a child, he has been consumed by its mystery. That kind of dedication is admirable, but it also has its downsides. Over the years, Rick's belief in the legend of Oak Island has morphed into something more intense, some might even say obsessive. He is so emotionally invested in the search that walking away, even if it's the logical choice, seems almost impossible for him. This attachment might be what keeps the show alive, but it could also be what brings it down. The show itself has become a double-edged sword. Initially, The Curse of Oak Island was a brilliant way to fund the treasure hunt while sharing the story with the world. But as seasons have passed, the focus seems to have shifted from actual discoveries to manufactured drama and repetitive theories. Many fans have voiced frustration over the lack of concrete findings. Each season promises a breakthrough, but it often ends in another cliffhanger, another delay, and another round of speculation. This cycle has made some viewers question whether the treasure hunt is still the primary goal or if keeping the show going for ratings and revenue has taken over. Rick, as the face of the search, bears the brunt of this criticism. While he often speaks about the importance of uncovering the island's history and solving its mysteries, the endless dragging out of the show gives the impression that progress has stalled. Another issue is Rick's reluctance, or inability, to step away. He has said on multiple occasions that he is prepared to stop if the search no longer moves forward, yet his actions suggest otherwise. Time and again, Rick has been the one pushing to revisit old sites, dig deeper into questionable leads, or pursue projects that seem more emotional than logical. For example, his insistence on continuing work at 10X, a site thoroughly explored and deemed unpromising, raised eyebrows even among his own team. His justification is that he feels a sense of obligation to past treasure hunters like Dan Blankenship. While admirable, this kind of emotional reasoning often conflicts with the practicalities of treasure hunting and television production. Here, Marty Lagina serves as a counterbalance to Rick's emotional approach. Marty is the pragmatic one who often questions the cost and feasibility of their projects. However, even Marty seems to struggle with saying no to Rick. Their dynamic has worked well for the most part, but as the seasons stretch on, it is clear that Marty's patience and funding have limits. If Marty decides to pull the plug, whether because of dwindling returns or personal frustration, it could spell the end of the show regardless of Rick's desires. Then there is the issue of public perception. While Rick's steadfast belief in the treasure has been a driving force behind the show, it is also what makes him a polarizing figure. Some fans admire his passion, while others see it as stubbornness bordering on delusion. The longer the show drags on without significant discoveries, the more it risks turning Rick from an inspiring figure into a tragic one, someone who cannot let go of a dream even when it no longer seems attainable. This perception is not helped by the fact that Rick often seems unwilling to accept certain realities. Despite the overwhelming evidence, or lack thereof, he remains convinced that Oak Island holds great secrets. Skeptics point out that centuries of exploration have failed to uncover anything definitive, and modern technology has not changed that. Yet Rick persists, driven by faith rather than proof. So, is the end near? Dealing with flooding has always been a big problem at Oak Island, especially in a place called the Money Pit. This deep hole is famous for supposedly hiding treasures, but it's always getting filled with seawater, which stops explorers from digging deep. Marty Lagina and his team tackle this problem by building coffer dams, walls that keep water away from certain areas. These walls help them control the water levels and allowed them to dig in spots that were unreachable before. Using these cofferdams along with new drilling methods and strong pumps, he and his crew managed to dig deeper into the Money Pit than anyone had ever gone before. This effort to dig deeper and use the right equipment shows just how committed he is to exploring every part of the island thoroughly. But handling the water wasn't even the toughest challenge. Despite all the planning and high-tech gear, the island continued to hold on to its stories tightly. Every new attempt to dig brought different challenges. Marty and his brother Rick had to deal not only with natural barriers but also the high expectations they set for themselves and those of the many people around the world watching their adventure. As Rick, and their crew used these new tools and technology, they began to uncover some interesting things. Although these finds didn't prove there was treasure, They showed that Oak Island had some significant historical importance. One of the first exciting things they found was a bunch of old coins near the money pit. These coins were from the 17th century and raised many questions, like who left them there. Were these coins dropped by early settlers or explorers, or were they part of a larger treasure waiting to be found? Then there were human bones. During a large drilling operation in the money pit, the team found bone fragments. Tests showed these bones came from Europeans. This finding suggested that Europeans might have died or been buried on Oak Island long before the modern treasure hunters arrived. Finding these remains made the island's story more personal. It wasn't just about hunting for gold or jewels, it was also about the lives of people who had connections to this place. As they continued their search, more intriguing things started to show up. They found strange carvings and symbols on the island, some of which were linked to the Freemasons, a well-known group often surrounded by their own set of tales. This connection led to new theories that perhaps the Freemasons or even the Knights Templar, a medieval group, might have been involved with the island long ago. While most of these ideas were just guesses, they added another layer to the already complex story of Oak Island. Each find made things more confusing, and soon people began talking about what the team might really be uncovering. Ancient clues led to modern questions. The more he and his team dug, the more people talked and wondered about what they were finding. Some rumors even said that he and his team had found the treasure but were keeping it confidential. These rumors were partly fueled by the TV show that followed their search. The show often hinted at big discoveries without showing everything, leaving viewers curious about what might be under the ground. Sometimes it seemed like the team was about to make a huge discovery, but then the show would end without showing what they had found. This made many fans think there might be more happening than what they were shown. But the quest for answers wasn't over. Every new find, big or small, seemed to bring up more questions than answers. While some viewers felt left out of the loop, he stayed focused on his goal, to find out the truth about Oak Island. Whether it was treasure, important historical artifacts, or both, for him, the search was about much more than finding riches. It was a chance to better understand the past and maybe even change a part of history. Every discovery led to new discussions about possible hidden connections and clues scattered across the island. Talk about groups with hidden traditions being connected to Oak Island has increased over the years. Many people think that certain symbols found on the island, like Masonic signs, link the hidden treasure to groups like the Freemasons or the Knights Templar. These symbols, along with old documents that suggest a connection between Oak Island and these groups, have sparked the imaginations of both treasure hunters and fans alike. The idea that the treasure might be part of a larger, more intriguing story involving powerful secretive groups makes the hunt even more thrilling for everyone watching. The involvement of such groups adds a whole new dimension to the Oak Island story. For treasure hunters, it means they might not just be looking for gold or jewels. They could be uncovering a question that could rewrite history. This possibility has captured the attention of viewers worldwide, making each discovery feel like part of a much bigger story. As people watch Marty Lagina and his team, they can't help but wonder if they are getting closer to unlocking not just a treasure chest, but a deep, long-hidden truth that has been buried for centuries. Over time, the constant search began to wear on Marty, both physically and mentally. The hard work of digging, planning, and leading a team, along with the pressure of being watched by the public, started to affect Marty's health. Fans of the show noticed that he wasn't appearing as much in later episodes, which led to speculation that he might be stepping back from the treasure hunt. This whole thing started getting more interesting when Marty's brother, Rick Lagina, began to take on a bigger role in their TV show. Rick started being the main guy everyone saw leading the hunt for the treasure. This shift caused a bit of worry among fans because it seemed like Marty might be stepping back. Marty has always been a big deal on the show because he knows a lot about science, has tons of business skills, and he's great at making plans. When people thought he might do less, they started wondering what would happen to the treasure hunt. Could the search keep up its pace if he wasn't in charge? Marty didn't avoid talking about this. He was open about how tough the treasure hunt was on him physically, yet he told everyone he wasn't leaving the show. He was just going to focus more on the planning side of things. This change would let him oversee things without being in the thick of the daily treasure hunt. This also meant the younger folks on the team, like his son Alex, could handle the more hands-on part of the treasure hunt. As he stepped back, people started to wonder, was the younger team ready to keep the search going, or would things take a different turn? As he shifted into this behind-the-scenes role, It became obvious that they were starting to prepare the younger generation to take over one day. Alex Lagina, Marty's son, was stepping up. Alex, who studied engineering, had been around the treasure hunt since he was pretty young. At first, he didn't do much more than help with the technical stuff, but over time, his role got a lot bigger. Alex began to get involved in everything from examining what they found to making big decisions about where to dig next. He brought new ideas to the table and questioned some of the old thinking, which opened up new possibilities for the treasure hunt. This change in roles sparked a lot of talk. As Alex became more of a familiar face on the show, some fans started to think maybe he was getting ready to lead the treasure hunt in the future. Others thought his growing role was about keeping the Lagina family's legacy going on TV. This situation had mixed reactions. Some fans thought it was cool and exciting to see Alex stepping up to lead, but others weren't so sure. They wondered if this change would affect the heart of the Oak Island treasure hunt that they had grown to love so much. With Alex getting more involved, it brought up big questions about what it means to lead and what the future might look like for the treasure hunt on Oak Island. As these discussions went on, more people started paying attention to what Alex and the rest of the team were up to. In 2019, a bunch of wild guesses started spreading about the Oak Island team. One really shocking guess was that Alex Lagina had died during filming. Luckily, this wasn't true at all, but it showed just how much people were paying attention to the Lagina family and their treasure hunt. Despite all the rumors, Alex kept up his important role in the Oak Island search. He also had to manage his duties at Maury Vineyards, the family's winery in Michigan. There had always been a lot of talk about what was happening on the island and what the Laginas were finding. When he was 69, Marty decided to clear up some of that talk in a very honest interview. He said that while some of the rumors had a little bit of truth, most were overblown. Marty also let slip that they had found some pretty important stuff on Oak Island that they hadn't talked about yet. The show had shared some of their findings, but he mentioned there were other things they were still checking out. They needed to make sure these items were as historically important as they thought before they told the world about them. This news was huge for everyone who follows the Oak Island show. It made people think that maybe there was even more to the Oak Island story than what they'd seen on TV.